Yo, what's up? This is Elder Sarah, and welcome back to my channel where I like to talk about all things spooky, scary, and have a little bit of fun. Today on the channel, we're going to be talking about the scariest thing of all, addiction. Now, luckily for me, the only thing I've ever been addicted to is nicotine. Well, and caffeine. Definitely caffeine. I need a lot of caffeine in my life. But the nicotine, I decided to kick that habit. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a story time, because this is my channel and I can post whatever I want to it. And today, I just want to vent a little bit to you guys about my journey with this whole thing. You see, about a month ago, I decided to get rid of all that unnecessary business and just decided to clear myself up. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it was rough. It was very hard, it sucked very bad. But you know what? It got easier, it got better, and I think I'm on the other side now. So as a testament to that, a promise to myself, and as a little bit of an educational story to you guys, I thought that I would vent about that here today. Honestly, my whole journey with this thing is a big part of why I haven't been as active as I've wanted to be on the channel the past couple of weeks. And like, I feel like that chapter is over now, and that's kind of why I'm announcing it to you guys. But honestly, there have been a whole bunch of horror movies and even Horror Nights information that's been coming out lately that I've been late to the party to because I've been dealing with these wild mood swings associated with quitting. It can be a lot. Honestly, it's a whole lot, and I just wanted to reach out to you guys and try to connect or touch base with those of you that have either been through what I'm going through or are thinking about beginning this journey for yourself. It's a hard decision to make for yourself, and honestly, you know, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Do your thing, man. But if you're like me and you've been sitting around for a while thinking about the money, the health, and everything else that you could be saving by just kicking this bad habit, then this is the video for you. Buckle yourself in, I hope you enjoy the ride. So let me take you guys all the way back to my freshman year of high school. That's when mech mods started to become a thing, and anybody who was anybody had one of these things. How did we get them? We were freshmen. In fact, I think I was only about 15 at the time. Well, that's an excellent question, and the answer to that is that any vape shop that you could go to in my area would just sell them to you. Nobody was carding, nobody was IDing, and that created a situation where anybody who was anybody in the school had one of these things. Obviously, that's a problem, and it set us all up for failure in the long run, didn't it? It started out as a hobby. It was just something that everybody was doing, you know what I mean? There were so many flavors, there were so many different kinds of cool mods, and back then they were doing all of those like competitions and tricks and all that stuff. It really created like a whole culture around these things where it was just supposed to be the cool new thing to do, you know? Cigarettes were out, man. Those things tasted bad, they smelled bad, nobody wanted to be around them. Instead, everybody was on this hot new trend. It's really crazy too, because I remember at the time, these things were definitely not regulation and were definitely not safe by any means. People were experiencing all kinds of issues where these things were straight up exploding in their pockets, in their hands, and even in their mouths while they were hitting them. They were dangerous and deadly, y'all. And man, while I'm on the topic of this, there were some truly insane unregulated mods that were coming out when I was a kid. They started as just like these little tube pipe bomb things, but they eventually started fitting more and more batteries into them to the point where they got absolutely ridiculous. I mean, ludicrous even. Me and my friends had this one at one point that was referred to as the God box or God mod, something like that. I don't exactly remember, but it had like extra space to fit more batteries and insane coils inside of it. But the thing like didn't really work. When you turned it up too high, it just shot flames out of the top of it. Man, I'm not a fire eater, you know what I'm saying? What is this? This is ridiculous. Why did they make them so insane like that? It's just completely unnecessary, right? These hobbyists just take it too far, I swear. And if the pipe bomb in your pocket didn't get you first, the addiction was definitely right behind it, creeping up on you and taking its claws in. Fast forward a few years, I graduated from high school, I'm 18, and back then, that was actually old enough to be able to buy tobacco products where I live. It's not anymore, now you gotta be 21 plus to have any of those. I was already on the pipeline, and now moving on to tobacco, things were not looking great for me. It only took about a year or two of that before I started realizing the effects and really needed to slow down on that. This brings us to the first time that I tried to quit. You see, with the tobacco straight up, it just wasn't happening, so I switched back over to the vape products, and I used that to kind of wean myself down on the nicotine. And you know what? It did work. I was able to completely put down nicotine for a few months at that point. But while I was able to do that, my wife absolutely was not. She was on her own vibe, and she was going to do things her own way at her own will. And I mean, you know, power to her, whatever. Just because I decided to quit didn't mean that she had to, right? Well, as you could imagine, this definitely set me up for failure in some aspect or another. I was still constantly surrounded by other people indulging in nicotine products, and just me standing around just felt so boring, you know? I'm just over here twiddling my thumbs while everybody gets up and goes and has a smoke break, and it just didn't feel great. Made me feel weird, like I was the loser, you know what I'm saying? And that's truly how they get you. So then, I got right back on it. It became like a social thing, and then it eventually developed into just full-on being addicted again. as it always does, you know. Fast forward about a year or two later, and I decided to do that whole process again, and it also ended exactly the same way, rebooted all over again. Now from here, I had probably been back on nicotine for about 3 or 4 years when I had a very extreme life event happen to me. One morning, I woke up and my wife was having a heart attack. She actually died right there on my living room floor, and I gave her CPR for 25 minutes straight while we waited for ambulances to arrive. She's good now, but she was in a coma for 7 days. When she came out of it on the other end, she had a pacemaker and a bunch of new medication. They straight up told her no more nicotine, no more caffeine. You know, there's a lot of changes that we had to make to our everyday lives. And while she was able to, like, deal with that, put all that away, and just get rid of all of those things, I, having been through what I had been through, was not exactly ready to do that. There was a lot of scarring going on up there, and I definitely needed my crutches at the time. But that was about 2.5 years ago now, and I feel like I'm in a much better place, and I feel like I was finally ready to just move away from those crutches, you know? So I geared up, got rid of all my stuff, went cold turkey, and how do you guys think that that went? It went bad. It went really bad. It was not a fun time. Okay, so the problem that I kind of ran into here is that the nicotine devices that we use nowadays are so juiced up compared to what we used to use back when we were kids. That sounds insane to say, but it's absolutely true. When I was younger and I was using mods, and even with actual tobacco products to an extent, I didn't feel like I was as addicted to the nicotine as I am with these like little salt nic devices that we had been getting. Those things are evil, man. They are not good for you. Straight up, I have a theory that the reason why they're all like base 5 nicotine salt nic is because that is so much nicotine, it's enough to get like anybody drastically addicted. When I think about it in hindsight, I couldn't really go more than like an hour and a half, 2 hours without reaching for my vape. It was terrible. In fact, it got so bad that I would regularly find myself waking up out of my sleep in the middle of the night to hit it. Not once, not twice, but like 3, 4, 5 times sometimes in the middle of the night. That is not good. That is disgusting, brutal addiction right there. And just to the vape, man, like what are they putting in those things? So the cold turkey didn't exactly work. I tried to get rid of them, and within a matter of hours, I was absolutely losing my mind, like full on ridiculous mental crash out style. It was not cool, man. I couldn't tolerate it. So I went out and I got some of the pouches. I thought that maybe that would help me wean down a little bit. I got the lowest percent nicotine available in those things and decided to try it out from there. And you know, it did work. I had to spread them out. I had to use them sparingly. But throughout like a week's time, I was able to wean down from like 5 of them a day all the way down to 3 of them a day. And then at a certain point, I just felt like I was ready to throw the whole can away and just go back to cold turkey. Now, here's the interesting part. This lasted for about 11 days. I was able to pull it off pretty successfully. Most people say that the first 3 to 5 days are the worst, and that's moderately true, but something happened the longer that I would wait. As each day would pass and as nicotine would leave my system, I'd be thinking to myself, okay, it's getting out of my body, it's got to be getting better, tomorrow's got to be better than today, you know what I mean? But like, that really wasn't the case. I started experiencing some extreme bouts of depression and anxiety, like really crazy stuff that I hadn't felt since I was like a little kid, you know what I mean? It wasn't good and it wasn't healthy, so I decided to pick the pouches back up just for a little while. I didn't feel like what I was going through was okay. I didn't feel like what I was going through was healthy, and I just really needed to balance things out. It was a risk. I was afraid that if I went back to the pouches for a little while, even if I did just one of them, it was going to completely restart this cycle. But man, I was at a point where I was thinking to myself, if this is really what it's going to be, then it is not worth it for me. Obviously, that's not the good way to think about it. That's not the truth at all. But that's just how I was feeling. It was really hardcore. So I picked up the pouches. I went back to using 3 of them a day, and I did that for another week. And you know what? It helped. It helped a lot, man. I was feeling a lot of shame. I was feeling a lot of regret during that time, and I was definitely hoping that I wasn't completely restarting this cycle for myself. But you know what? I wasn't. It worked as a great little therapy to get me over that hump and get me through that rough patch. As that week was winding down, I started feeling like every time I popped a pouch, it was actually just making me sick to my stomach. It didn't feel good anymore. And that was a really good thing. That let me know that I was weaning myself off of it for real this time. Once I started feeling like that, I just tossed the can again, went back to cold turkey, and I've been there since. Now, you're probably writing in the comment section right now, but it's only been a couple of weeks since you quit, right? And the last few times you quit, it had been a couple of months and you went back to it. quit? Well, that's kind of why I'm making this video. I want to hold myself accountable, and I want a piece of proof here, just to my claims that I'm making that I'm quitting. This video will serve as a testament to my willpower or something like that. And also, this time around, my wife's off of it. I'm not exactly in the same position in my life anymore, so it should be a lot easier. It should be a lot easier to stay away from it, I think. I used to play in bands, and I used to spend like every weekend at concerts and dive bars, so that was a hard position to avoid all of that in. But now that we're removed from all of that, I think that it'll be a lot easier. I mean, hey, I'm trying to enjoy horror movies in theaters and go to theme park haunts, you know what I'm saying? These aren't exactly places where you can just puff clouds wherever you want. But anyways, to my loyal subscribers and anyone else that really found this video interesting, thank you for checking it out today. This is obviously very different from my usual content, but it'll serve as kind of a vlog. Normally here on the channel, I like to talk about all things spooky, scary, and have a little bit of fun. We talk about horror movies, theme park haunts, video games, all kinds of stuff. Really just anything that pops into my head that I want to post on my channel, I'm posting it here. It may lack a little bit of focus, but hey, I'm still new here and we're still figuring things out. So if you enjoyed my personality and just hanging out with me today, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Well, not just like this, but for more content. Also, if you enjoyed hanging out with me today, be sure to browse my catalog. I've got hours and hours of awesome horror content for you guys. You may find something you like, and if you do, be sure to send it over to a friend you think might enjoy it too. If you're a loyal subscriber of mine and you made it this far, or if you're just somebody brand new that checked out the video and found this educational, be sure to hit those comments down below and just let me know you were here. As always, I've been Elder's Terror, and whether your day's been going good or bad today, I hope it gets better.